we are ready. Okay. Good evening, everyone. It's 5 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And with that, let's go ahead and do a pledge. Our pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Ricks, can you help us?
Father God, we just thank you for this opportunity and this time to come together as community members, Lord, discuss our community issues, Father. And Father, I just pray the Holy Spirit in this meeting here tonight, may everything be done in a Christ-like manner, Father. We ask that you place a hedge of protection amongst the members of this department. And Father, we thank you. We praise you in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Ricks. Okay, let's go ahead and do a roll call. Mr. Ricks,
Here.
Mr. Cavanagh,
Here.
Mr. Baptiste,
Here.
Mr. Jacks.
Here.
Being all I'm here, so we have a quorum. Also present, we have Chief Geisler, Chief Gilliard, Chief May, and Ms. McCarthy with PMI, Mr. Wininski, Mr. Danenhauer, and we've got a large population out there from the public. And want to welcome everybody that's watching us on social media as well. So first up on the agenda is going to be the approval of the minutes for May 14th, 2025. And so we'll need a motion
I
to
make a
approve.
motion that we approve minutes of that meeting.
And we have a second. Is there any discussion concerning the minutes? I hear none, so let's vote. All in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye. Any opposed? I hear none, so the motion carries. Chief, it goes to you, employee recognition.
Yes, sir. We do have a couple gentlemen that are going to receive their pins. I know we're waiting on CJ. Well, all right, cool. Excellent. We do have some people who made some marks, so we'll just go through our list. On June 23rd, let's see, June 23rd, 1 year ago, Jack Stoops on June 4th, 6 years. He's our part-time paramedic. Sean Marquette, 2 years as of the 19th of June. Russo, Michaela Lindgren, and CC Marshall, all 1 year in June. Isaac, 1 year in June. And we have two new hires, Darby as of June 2nd, and Batuk, hired on the 30th as a part-timer. He's a full-time employee with another fire district, and he brings an EMT and some fire operator certifications. So we will go ahead and present our two confirmed individuals. They'll be pinned this evening. We'll start with Mr. Taylor Tasson. He was actually confirmed probably 2 years ago. 2 years ago, and we've been trying to get his uniform together, his badge, his name tag, so we can formally do that and recognize him here today. So Tasson, he was a reserve here many, many years ago, back when I was a part-timer probably in a reserve, and he works District 6 in Lee Road, and he has his family here, and he's got Chief Taylor also representing Lee Road as well, so that we can welcome Mr. Taylor Tasson, operator EMT Taylor Tasson. We'll formally get him pinned and congratulate him and take some pretty pictures. Yeah, we're gonna go right there by Mr. Leo. And Tasson's gonna make a speech. JP's gonna make a speech. Chief Taylor can make a speech. All yours. We have no bag.
We were gonna give him yours, Steve.
Here I am thinking y'all play. I'm thinking they play.
Make sure y'all get y'all bag. If I speak any please, you know.
That's all right.
It was. That should be painless. kids. Promise you.
I think we got the dolls. Once we get that graduation. That one you
You should have pre-drilled it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right.
Congratulations. Well, does CJ have his band?
Yes.
Our next gentleman, CJ was just confirmed on the 1st of July. He has family in the fire service who's gonna help pin him and then he's gonna make a speech. No? CJ has been with us for at least a year and he's an EMT firefighter operator. Comes from the beautiful state of Ohio. I keep asking what Ohio's known for. and it's-
Buckeyes.
Football team.
Then I asked him what a Buckeye is. Anyways, he's been an asset to our department as much as Taylor's been an asset to our department, so we certainly welcome him and we congratulate him and we look forward to seeing him thrive and achieve paramedic school and everything else that comes ahead of him, so have at it. Congratulations, gentlemen. That, unless I'm missing somebody, I believe that's gonna be our employee recognition for this evening.
Thank you. Good job. All right, next on the agenda is going to be the treasurer's report, and so I'll
Okay,
turn that over to Mr. Raymond.
no, thank you. As of, this month, we have a balance, from the, operating account. Previous balance was $498,504.55. The ending balance was $602,139.49. So that's it. From the other account, we had a previous balance of, okay, I'm looking to this. Okay, 1,000 as of 6/23, $1,174.51. And ending balance of 6/24, $1,532.43. And on the T-bill, we have an interest of, we've earned $9,776.08. And that concludes my report.
That's it?
I didn't get a single. Okay, that's it.
That's it. Okay. All right, so what we'll need is a motion to accept the treasurer's report. And do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second on it. Any discussion on the treasurer's report? I hear none, so let's vote. All in favor of accepting treasurer's report, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none, so motion carries. Chief's report.
Yes, sir. I just want to briefly mention Jordy Johnson. I don't know if he's out here. Jordy Johnson, one of our full-time EMT operators. He was able to work with the Evermore Water Company, their local distribution. And he was able to secure us with a pallet of water. So he actually went today, picked up the pallet of water from that company, took some nice photos with their representatives. So we have a pallet of free water from the Evermore Water Company. At 33, that's for our firemen if, we're still in the heat of the summer. And obviously, we'll have water supply if we need it for any other issues or concerns that would pop up. And they have been very supportive. I know they donate to other fire departments as well. And so we look forward to continue to work with that company and again, they're very supportive of the fire service and more than willing to donate and help. So we appreciate them. They will be recognized not only tonight, obviously, but we'll post on our Facebook page and social media and give them the recognition that they deserve. So we certainly appreciate that donation. The other note I have is, I know Mark's going to talk to him some training last 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I went to a Chiefs Academy in Baton Rouge. It's a 2-part class. So I'll go through my second part, which I think is going to help us slide out next year.
Yeah, during the LFP.
Yeah, so they'll tie all that together. And it's a series of seminars, and they have all right speakers.
I was the second year, I mean,
No, they have excellent speakers that come in, chiefs and firemen and even people from the private sector who come out and speak to the chiefs, current chiefs and aspiring chiefs. And I think it was a really good program. I look forward to round 2. There's a graduation, a nice certificate, challenge coin, and a pin that comes with that. And so I look forward to doing round 2. I know Mark and Gilliot look forward to doing round 1. Surprise. But I think it was very, it was well worth it, well worth my time. I've got plenty of notes and questions and insurance information, stuff like that, that I plan to address at some point. But yeah, I think it was well worth our time and effort to go to Baton Rouge for that training. So, only other thing, and there's no action on this, and I did want to mention that we met, and I hope I'm not stepping on Gilead's toes, but we did meet with Gonzales Fire Department. They have a potential backup med unit that we may be looking at. So if there's any action that we need, we'll bring it to the board. Next board meeting, it could be anywhere from a donation to a small, a donation from them to us, or there may be a small cost involved. So we'll work out those details as that truck becomes available. The reason that's important is our med units, we have 2 of them. They run a lot. We do a lot of calls. And so it was important for us to have a reserve truck ready to step in. Thankfully, for District Number 11 in Pearl River, they have a spare unit that they have been able to loan to us with the latest PM and maintenance issue that we had. So we want to be able to have a med unit for us to be able to rely on so that our services aren't interrupted. So, of course, if there's any action, we'll bring that to you all at the next board meeting. Again, thanks to District 11 for allowing us to use their med unit. And of course, if in the future they would need a backup med unit, we would have one
We'll
as
at least
well.
have one.
And we'll have one to be able to reciprocate as well. So again, no action on that. Radio straps, we talked about radio straps in our last meeting. Those have been purchased and distributed to our part-timers and our full-timers. Those are on order. So they have those coming sooner than later, hopefully. And that is all my reports. I think Mark May, Chief May, and Mike might have.
Michael, do you have the incidents, the total?
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot all that. Sorry. 97.5% had both med unit staffed for the last month. We handled 97% of our calls. As far as EMS calls for the last month, we had 5 mutual aids. We had third call while the 2 med units were on transports. We had one instance where we had a truck down from mechanical issues, and one instance where we only had 1 paramedic staff in the med unit at the time. So we did require 5 mutual aid requests during the last month. 154 total calls in June, 905 year to date.
Medicals?
That's total calls.
No, medical, how much you,
80 is number of transports, 80.
80?
Yes, sir.
And then what is your medical to?
Oh, I don't have all those.
That's fine. You can get it to me,
Yeah,
that's
I'll
fine.
get that. I do know that we transported and billed 80.
Okay, that's good. If you could just get me the total on the medical.
Yeah,
would
we'll
be
do that.
helpful.
I will do that. Now I think that concludes my report, and I think Chief May has some info.
Mike, I got a quick question. What's the status with that boy, Robert Jacobs?
So, yeah, I might be able to give some more. I've had information on that.
I'll just try to be a little vague with it. He's at a new facility, my extended care facility right now. I went to it. It's very nice. I spoke with the nurses there. He's making small amounts of progress, but everything's still up in the air.
So for June, Feather came again at 32. They brought their propane trunk, which was like a propane tree in a little tank. And all the guys have to set up a team of two with the captain in the middle and run through a handful of evolutions. But they, Jason Legendre, say his last name. So, he started with EMT basic yesterday at District 4. So hopefully by October, he'll be graduated on the streets with that. We went live with, on first, to do with the patient care reports on the first. It's working, but we're still working through some minor issues. On the, let's see, today we started researching this year's paramedics for the policy for the fall semester. We're gonna try and get some guys in that, get them in the ball with the A&P. On the 28th, me, Captain Jim, Captain Paul, and Taylor Tyson are gonna be going to the incident safety office class. And then on August 4th, I think roughly 6 of us are signed up for Inspector 1.
Cool.
So that's all I have for that update.
We're gonna be at that, back to school rally.
Yes, we're participating in that. We have a blood drive coming up in August as well that we'll be hosting.
So they got 2 tables for you at the back to school rally. If you don't need both, just let me know. I'll tell them to turn one loose. I know they said they're packed with participants, so,
Yeah.
cool.
We will be out there.
All right. Anything else?
Sir.
Hey, you guys, good job. All right, that concludes the chief's report, so I'll turn the floor over to Ms. Rosa Jacks, it's Hartsville Fire update.
Sir, just wanted to, we're moving along. We're still waiting for our certification. It still shows that it's processing in the computer. The last time I looked, they are backlogged. They just started June applications.
Which,
The 501c. They're just started on June, so I just keep checking because once it's on the website, I can print everything out and start. I don't have to wait for anything in the mail. I can actually move forward with the stuff electronically, print it out and give it to the bank and all that and get that going. And we are also participating in the back to school. We'll be having a table with some resources, hopefully with information, membership, paid applications, and hopefully we can show ourselves again
Good.
in the community.
Did are you guys gonna be giving out the membership cards? I know there were some people that became members.
Yes, we've been going back and forth, because right now, I believe we only have a handful of signups.
Okay,
So we were trying to get a bigger crowd
because
before.
I got a spot in my wallet I want for my card.
Yes, we did talk about that, at our last meeting, to get, so we only have to print one time that we got a nice little.
Very good. Is there anything from the board that you need?
As of right now, I don't, I set up a meeting with Chief to go over stuff for back to school and that.
Okay. Well, thank you. Y'all have any questions for him?
Well, signups, I mean, we can solicit, different organizations and within Macomb, the churches, KC Hall, that sort of thing. we need any assistance with that, talk, I can help with some of that perhaps.
Okay.
If we need to get members, get the community aware of, this organization, because, it has the potential to be something really good for this department, for the community. We just gotta get it out there. I know we just starting and everything, get everybody. Yeah. We wanted to get off going real fast, but I realize it takes time, but
Yeah.
eventually, that's where we need to be.
And I think, that's why we really want to put ourselves, it was a small venue or participating, people that went to the Earth Day.
Mhm.
So we got our names out there for a little bit, but we haven't had any other community stuff that we wanted to get involved until this back to
Well, that's
school.
probably one of the larger community events that, large population, you got a lot of resources in that building. I forget all the different agencies that are in there giving information to the community. I think, Debbie, what was it? 1,000 people? Yeah, about 1,000 people cycle through that thing.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's,
I usually work it, I help with the Spanish speakers, and I know it's big, so this is an opportunity I did not want to.
No, this was a good one.
I wanted to say, on your question, as far as going to the businesses
Mhm.
and churches and everything, we need our 501c3 status first. So
Okay.
that the corporation can use us as a temporary. They have to be able to
Right,
have
okay.
something to show. So that's what we're waiting for. We have a list of businesses that we want to go after, but we just can't do it right now.
Okay,
Okay?
all right, that makes, I understand, that makes sense.
Thank you.
Thank you for telling me. Appreciate it.
All right, it's it, Ms. Rose?
Yes, sir.
No other questions from Ms. Rose? Okay, so this is a little bit different on the agenda. And I get, the intent is just make it a standing agenda item, and it talks about committees and initiatives. And really what this is about is getting the board more involved with things that are going on with the fire department to help the chief accomplish things. In no way, shape, or form is it an indication that anyone here, the administration, is not doing their job. It's not about that at all. It's to really support them. We have an opportunity to do some things, take some burdens off of folks here. And by doing that, I believe it's going to be a better department. And so we kind of brainstormed a list of things that could use some attention, and I'll just quickly go through them. Ambulance billing, and so what happened with these initiatives, we got owners, right? So these are, sponsors, if you will. And their job is going to be work through some of the issues and keep chief abreast of what's going on. And one of the things we got is ambulance billing. And Mr. Jackson, myself, is going to be kind of championing that one. We have a tax renewal that's coming up. There's a lot of work to be done on that. As soon as we get past the parish council, get their endorsement. It's probably the September, October timeframe, be very busy. Myself and Mr. Jackson working that issue. Strategic planning. That is to help guide and determine what the department needs to do for the next 3-5 years. And myself, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Wininski is going to be working on that one. Comparing fire departments to the departments, local, regional, and national. Really what that is to look for best practices. What are other fire departments our size, our economics is doing, see what they're doing well, and if it's something we could leverage. I'll be taking care of that with Mr. Wininski. Then we have some, just some check-ins. So we've got, checking in with the admin staff. Mr. Jacks is gonna be looking at, working with firefighters and the EMS staff just to listen to their words, see what's going on in their minds. Mr. Baptiste is gonna be checking in with the office, admin. Legislation, regulation, and advocacy, that's gonna be myself and Mr. Danenhauer. And then apparatus purchases, Mr. Ricks. And in the fire department, the chief is going to decide who in the department will be working on those issues from their perspective. So, just want to bring everybody abreast for that. It's really gonna be a good thing for our department. And so with that, does, any of the commissioners have anything they like to report particular to their initiatives?
Well, I mentioned to you earlier, I'll help out with some public relation things. You know, that's kind of near and dear to me.
Yeah, so we'll
I'm
get
just
that.
a fan, but I have a heart for it anyway.
Yeah, I'll get that, down here then and put it in. Oh, we have, yes, sir.
I'll be available, I'm available all the time. Anything you need me, any committee that's in the department. I'm here, I'm here all the time.
I know, Mr. Casney, what had happened when these, text messages went out, I believe is when you were transitioning phones. So I think that communication may have gotten missed, so, I'll get with you and see what interest you may have to get you,
Go.
yes, sir. Okay, so, I've got a couple of things to report on, but, we'll catch them in the old business. We got ambulance billing. And we also got a tax renewal, which will be addressed later tonight. And then, I do have a little bit of something to share concerning the, legislation, regulation, and advocacy. And it's a piece of legislation that actually made it through the state last session, and that's House Bill 366, and it deals with inventory tax. And that bill has passed both the House and the Senate. And the bill passed, which was quite interesting. It passed with 100% bipartisan support. So, so really what this is about is that the state is going to put out for an election in the April 18th, 2026 election. And it's going to ask, does the voters support doing away with inventory taxes on businesses? If it is approved by the voters, it then goes to each of the parishes, and the parishes will decide what to do with it. They have an option. They could leave it as is. They could do away with inventory tax or something in the middle. It's my understanding that when it gets to the parish council level, it's the parish council, the school board, the sheriff's office has to agree what to do with these millages. Now, I'm not certain, you may correct me, but I believe the tax assessor has a play in that as well, does he?
No, I think it's just those three and they have
Just
to
the-
be in unison.
Yeah, okay, so, I have no feel for which way to go. It's just something to look at. We all know what inventory means to us, particularly with Folgers there. It is a nice shot of cash into the door. There's nothing we can do with it right now, not a bit, until the voters have their say. And then after that, I believe the only opportunity we have is to make sure that there'll be some state money that comes in to subsidize this while it makes a transition, just to make sure that we get our fair cut of the money. It's with the parish council would be the ones divvying it out. We just need to make sure that we're heard, and get what we believe we should be getting. So, We'll know April 18th what to do with that. Any questions on it? Nope. Okay. Whole business. So, ambulance billing practices, we've been kind of kicking that one around for a couple of months now, and I think we finally got it to where it makes some sense. Kind of, I'm satisfied that we're getting the monies we're supposed to be getting. And what's really amazing is that everybody is in agreement with the information that I've got. So this thing was vetted with the Coronas, which was our billing company. They supplied a big chunk of the data. They speak a different language. It's difficult for me, but we got it sorted out. We do have a lot of information that comes from PMI. Of course, they keep our books. And then administration folks supply us with some other information. So if you don't mind, I'll go through it and just stop me anytime that you like. So what we've got is our agent account. And in our agent account, the numbers that you see are before any deductions. So if you look, the blue line, which is the one right here, it starts at the first number you see up there is 141,465. What that is the amount of money that is aged between 0 and 30 days. Okay, and what I like about this graph, without getting into a lot of the weeds with it, it really shows that Coronas is doing a pretty good job for us. If you look at our aging accounts, when you start getting out past 121 days, there's not a lot of money left out there for them to collect. So they're really doing a good job for us. To the point, one of the things that we've talked about is what point do billing transitions over to collections? What I found is there is no designated date. We have to determine that as a board, even if we want to do that. So what I see is that I think when I looked at this month's numbers, anything over 141 days is less than $5,000. That's over. So I spoke with Coronas over it, and they said, with that small volume that we got, do we really want to go into collections? Put people in collections? That's something we'll have to decide. This is our average aging. And, when we look, this just shows everything as a whole. But it really brings us down, and it just really reinforces the other slides. And when we get out to these extended times, there's really not a lot of money left on the table. So I think we did a good thing by listing Coronas. They're doing a good job with it. This is the payers. The payers is I refer to them as clients, but Coronas quickly corrected them and said they're payers. All right, and so this really talks about the people that we take care of in ambulance transports. And you can see that the largest group is going to be the Medicare and the Medicaid buckets. And then we have this other 5%, which is government other. And it's a large part of our clientele, and those are the ones that pay the least. So when we look at monies that you get from Medicaid and Medicare, you're losing about 75% of what you bill for. It's not what you would think. So, when people think about all the ambulance calls, Michael said we went on 80 of them. I get to think it's what you told me. And you take times $2,500 an ambulance call, you think that you should be rolling in the dough, but it's just really not there. It's because of government contracts. And even commercial insurance, there's some Senate bills that were passed at the federal level that limits what you can charge out. I found that out. And then you have the other government, TRICARE would be an example, military type. My understanding, they're stellar. They pay really well. And then we've got private pay, and you'll get a portion of that paid back to you, but most of them are not gonna pay, they have no means. And those are really, if you took a look at it, if you look back at this, it's probably where these numbers are coming from. It's just they don't have a means to pay. All right, uncollectible per month. So we talked about that 75%, right? The uncollectible. And the uncollectible is limits set by contracts as well as Medicare, Medicaid. And the important thing here to look at is on an average, we're unable to collect about $155,000 a month is what we're unable to collect because of the,
Mandatory write-downs.
Yep, that's right. So medical transports, and so when we look at, we've always talked about how many medicals we go on, but it's important to separate out the medicals from the transports. You know, you got a lot of medicals, you go on to them, you get refusals, whatever the case may be. So if we look at from January to May, we were averaging about 85 medical transports a month. And the average cost, now I pulled this out of Coronas, our average cost for medical transport is about $2,500 per transport. And so if you look at it, that comes into about $220,000 a month in transports. And you think that's a lot of money that's coming in the door, but if you reflect back on the previous slide, 155,000 of it was uncollectible. So this is the revenue side. So when we look at what we bring in the door, so out of those medical transports, we're averaging about $60,000 a month that we bring in from ambulance transports. So, but I want you to remember that's gross. That is not a net number. We've got to pay labor out of that. There's a lot. And best I can determine, it looks like about half of that goes away. And so your true net is about 30,000 a month is what you're going to be bringing in profit, if you will, for the ambulance. So going back, if we look at it, about 75% of what's billed is not recovered. And that's that Senate Bill 109. It sets the limits for ambulance transports that are charged insurance. And then we have Medicare and Medicaid. And this really just reinforces that, out of this big bucket of money, from January to May, we billed out over $1 million worth of ambulance transport, but the return on it is just not there. And so I just want people to kind of, the cash cow is really not even fit to butcher. All right, so these are some takeaways that I've got is that the agent accounts indicate Coronas is effective in their collecting. There is no established time where accounts move from billing to collections, based off of Coronas. There's really nothing do much to get. They're saying our volumes are just too low to consider collection. Well, we'll have to decide that, whether we want to do it or not. There's pros and cons to it. A pro is we might get some more money. A con to it is, it's the bad rap by putting a patient in collections, put them in, what is it, the credit bureau. Those folks run the credit. All right, the demographics, patients high impact, what we can recover. It's just the nature of our community. There was a little social media blast talking about how many patients we transfer from the nursing home that, we're here to support the nursing home, which really, it's not. The nursing home, if you would go back to the Medicaid number, that was 31%. And so given the fact that some other people in the community that's also on Medicaid, I would say, only thing I could say is our transports out of that nursing home are something under 31%. So it's just not there because our demographics really limit the amount of revenue that you could bring in off of it. For the first 5 months of 2025, revenue received from the ambulance is about 60,000 a month, of which 30K is really what's hitting the bank and hitting the bank. So I think finally got to the root of it and I'm satisfied.
The revenue from the ambulance service that just go to the general fund? I mean, is it dedicated for anything? Or
No, it's not a dedicated
It's
fund.
used to offset expenses of the operation of the whole.
just goes in operation fund?
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, because we are limited through our current structure on our current millage. Our small millage, which is roughly a 10 mil millage,
9.4, I think.
9.4. That millage is the only millage we could use for EMS. And I think we've come to decide it's about $500,000 total, something into that.
500,000 to 600,000 max.
Yeah. Yeah,
But, so this basically proves that this ambulance service that we're providing for the public is profitable. It's in the red, in the black.
yeah, it's in the black.
I mean, there was a point in time last year, I don't think we knew where we were at, right? I mean.
Yeah, I don't think we were out
maybe it's been a
satisfied that we have could point to any answer. We at least got this, we could say that the ambulance is carrying its own. And so with that, what else did you get by having that ambulance? You get an estimated, I think our average is a 6-minute response time. As opposed to, Paris contract of a 20 minutes response time. So, that's an intangible that you're getting off of it as well. So I think there's enough evidence here to say that that ambulance is worth having around.
These statistics, I think needs to be made known to the public when we have some meetings and different things, public needs to know that, we are providing this ambulance service, saving time. And look, and it's not very lucrative. Look, we're providing this service, I think, this department needs to be commended for that. I think that is a mighty fine thing that we
And it
provide.
was a good decision made a year or so ago of switching to the new billing company, because I do believe
Yes.
elections are much.
Yeah,
And we have these statistics now, we can prove, look, we're not losing money with this. We're providing a fabulous service for this community.
I think you could clearly say that with the prior company, you were in the red.
I believe we're,
I was in the dark. I had no idea where we were at with this.
well, we
Thank
were,
you for
if you
getting that.
compare what we were doing with the previous company, I guess it would have been about this time last year. Our collections was half.
Mhm.
So, so we wouldn't have not been in that 30,000. So if you just take a look at if our income is 60 and half of that goes away to expenses. So we were in the red with the previous company. Now, they've done some other things other than just billing. I think that we've done some things. We charge for medical supplies now. We do some things. But I do have to look at those numbers from Coronas and they don't leave much hanging.
Mhm.
It's been very successful.
And I can tell you that the net left over really covers the cost of the incentives for EMT basic and for paramedic, which
Yeah.
are required to have on the ambulance and the training. So it really is not a profit. But it is also incentivizing personnel with those incentives to
Sure.
want to acquire them to provide a greater level of service to the community.
So I think finally, we're gonna put the ambulance billing to bed. I'll probably bring it up once a quarter just to keep folks to see where we are with things. The only thing that was left to do is, do we want to move anybody into collections? So are we at that point? So it's not,
Pull that stats back up with the graph. Was it 130 to 180 days? There's roughly $5,000. I would say, my thoughts with regards to the collections, it doesn't seem like to try to get $5,000 after 180 days, like, it's not gonna be worth it. You can, what would we spend to try to get that?
So I could-
More than $5,000.
Yeah. I could refer to legal on that, you know, what do we gain by putting somebody in collections?
And when we went through this, because we talked to Kronos about this, really it is, so Kronos makes attempts to collect the debt at the beginning, and then as it ages, essentially, it stops making attempts, so it stops sending the letter, please, you know, this is your fifth request or whatever. Nonetheless, Kronos does keep the account active and will collect if the debtor ever contacts Kronos, right? So it's not that the account goes away, it's just that the collection attempts do wane off from Kronos. So it's a status change to one degree. Inside the Coronas world, it was really just a status change. It now goes to collections because it didn't actually change the attempts to collect.
And it didn't cost any more.
Correct.
It didn't charge anything different, so the bill is the same.
Does the attempt by Coronas to get this money, does it suffice the
State requirements.
state requirements?
Yeah. So the question is, would you want to continue with Coronas's collections, switching it over by basically just changing a status? Or would you place it with a third party collection agency at some point, which would have a different, typically, there's no cost to the district other than collection companies would typically try and take either a larger percentage or insist that they have some negotiating power with lowering the amount that is collected so that it's more likely they would collect. So, which is a problem that we covered in the past because that's essentially debt
Giving it
forgiveness.
away.
Right, so that's essentially debt forgiveness. So I think the question now really is, if you're right, that it's a low amount, the question becomes, does it ever accumulate to an amount that is worthy of consideration for figuring out a way to collect on some portion of it?
And I think to add to that, my conversation with Tim is that 5,000 may be more than just one person. So it could be, 50 people that owe $100
Yeah,
in some respects like that. And in some of that aging, that also accounts for people that have set up payment plans, but still have an outstanding balance. So they may only be able to pay $10 a month on $1,000 bill. Technically, that's in your aging because you haven't collected it in full, but they've still made arrangements to make payments.
Well,
So it's to say it's $5,000 in one event is not a one event type conversation.
and it's also, there's a possibility that the person is deceased.
Correct.
So of that money, of that, let's say $5,000 is the number. There's a chance, I'm not saying that they are, but there's a chance that a person who made it through the process, they got discharged from the hospital and died later. So they might even not be there to collect.
Right.
So do we move to collections? I personally, just Danny's opinion, you guys, it's your vote, but I don't see it at this point.
No, not for a third party.
I think a board can make a reasonable statement of until it exceeds maybe say 25,000 or whatever the magic number is. You would leave it with Coronas and then look at it if it has any type of accumulated max.
So the beauty of it is it never leaves Coronas
Correct.
because they
Yeah,
are
we don't
the
want to
collection
be that.
agency.
So my thoughts are perhaps, okay, let's say we got to come up with some procedure, that we're going to apply to every person that, is in the collections, okay? Let's say we create a specific category for these people. Let's say if it goes over 180 days, okay? Could we have Coronas offer them some sort of minimum payment plan or something?
They do that. It does at
And
this
then
point.
when it reaches 360 days, and then it comes to the board and or whatever limit, put a finite limit on it, start a special category at say 180 days and then put it in a category. And then when it reaches a finite end, so we set that, then it comes to us and we write it off or approve it to be written off.
I tell you what, let's do
Whatever.
is let's not act on that. I think there's some considerations that we have to do legally.
Individual?
No, legally, the state says as long, you have to make every reasonable attempt to collect the money. Some agencies, stay on people to death. They go to the end. Before I would agree to putting a date to move people into collections or start forgiving money, I think we need more time. I think we need more history. We do it really well.
Well, roughly at 180 days, we've already met the criteria,
Correct.
right?
So
Well,
it just,
I
just have a question about that though. Like if it's within the 180 days, it sounds as though that might also be including people that have been paying, but not the total.
Correct. It could be someone
So
that's,
that is a different person as far as I'm concerned.
Well, yeah, that would have to be determined by Coronas. I
well,
would imagine.
and I think to the chairman's point, we haven't even been a full year with Cronus yet. So you might want to let 25 be your trial basis for an entire year and then look at that going forward, because then you would have more than 12 months worth of history. You'd have about 15 months worth of total history to fall back on.
Yeah, now keep in mind, he's right. This is only from January to May. This is 5 months of data.
Okay.
We might find that your collections
Might be something different.
go down,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
that your recovery goes down, and we do need to make a decision. And I think, Mr. Chairman, if you said you commit to say, looking at this quarterly, I think that could be a reasonable review of, and here's where we sit, and it is creeping up, or it's remaining constant, and then you can make a decision. I don't think any decision needs to be made.
So I don't
So
feel.
let's say between now and the end of the year, we take every one of these on an individual basis right now to evaluate. Didn't we, last meeting, did we have one come to us?
We do. We did,
And we have
and we'll address that later on. Actually, it's the next agenda item.
Yeah.
But we had it. I just don't want to get in the practice of doing that. If I feel more comfortable that it's the people's money and the people expect us to try to recover the money on their behalf, then I'm willing to chase it until there's no more opportunity.
Well, and try to book in the conversation. We also have had multiple prior discussions of, there was basically a 10 mil levy approved 20 years ago to stand up ambulance services. What part of that 180 plus is also paying in the 10 mils?
Well, that's true. That's true.
So they may have been paying for 20 years and this is the first time they've used the service.
So I guess what I hear is that at this point, we're not interested in having a motion to move anybody into collection. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, well, I think we pretty much determined that we're not ready. It's not worth moving into.
For sure.
You're not gonna go into a third party collection, right?
No, we don't go to third party because Coronas is our collection agency as well, so it never leaves Coronas's house. It just gets into a different name and a different color folder.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where we're at.
Okay, good. All right, so that's ambulance billing. We did have a financial assistance application come through last month. I did take the questions and the discussion that we had at the last month's meeting and flipped that application back to Coronas. Coronas was going to contact the individual to gain the additional information. Haven't got a thing back. And I'm willing to take this off any future agenda, and until Coronas gives us something. Don't poke the bear. If they're not looking to any further to be debt forgiven, then leave it alone.
Okay. So.
Okay. All right, next is gonna be status of accumulated leave. At the last meeting, we asked Chief Gilliott what the dollar value was if we were to buy back all the leave that's over 300 hours, and was you able to get us some?
Giving it to chief guys.
There's two individuals. The total buyback at this time would be $15,846.36.
Okay. And we just talk about two folks. We're not gonna call them out or anything. It's just two people we'd have to do with it. So, last year we said we want to make a commitment by the end of this year to clean that up, get it down to where we're not writing big massive checks. But we got a number. I don't know what our budget's going to look like closer to the end of the year. Is there any opportunity to reduce that by getting people to take the time?
So one individual is me. I'm taking off a week at the end of the month. I'm trying.
Yeah, I couldn't force it.
I'm taking off a week. I'm trying to, but
I would walk up.
if I could take a month off, would be good. The other individual is on a sick leave status and he cannot be forced.
So now, it's and Michael, I appreciate you accumulated a lot of this over your career here, and now you're in a different seat, and to lose you for a month is probably not the most desirable thing. A week, was a bit pushing it.
And I was sharing this with the board. Right now, we had an annual budget of 75,100. We spent a little over 25,000 year to date, so about 34% of the budget. So right now, we are running under our 50% mark for year to date. So if that trend continues, I think in the fourth quarter, you can make a pretty comfortable decision of buying that out.
We've got things that's surfacing that I don't want to get too.
Right.
I know we got generator issues. I think we got septic tank issues. We got this issue and that issue.
Well, you're talking about the annual leave line item itself, right?
Yeah.
The annual leave expense.
Oh, only.
Correct.
Oh.
So we have a 75,000 budget for planned annual leave expense, which would be normal vacations. But you're running under budget, so you may be able to use that line
Yeah.
item to take out the chief, and no pun intended.
But that being said, you still have the holidays to go through, and I would presume your December is gonna be
Your trend month are December and January, where you have typically your largest leave exposures.
So if we got a number, we can plan for it. If we can reduce it, it'd be appreciated, but it doesn't look like it'd be an easy thing to do. We can't lose the chief for a month at a time and another time. Huh?
Force everybody I can force.
Yeah.
And it'll trend slightly up on the second half of the year. A lot of our individuals weren't eligible to use annual leave because they weren't off of their probation yet. So it'd be a little heavier, but shouldn't be.
Okay.
So let me ask you this, Mike, so if everything works out well and we can pay this out, do you feel pretty confident that you can keep it at the 300-hour level?
I can answer that for you. I know we can keep it up and then me forcing him.
Everybody except.
Everybody except for him, I can force.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why we're paying it out is because we don't want to have to get to that, so it keeps a car moving.
All right, well, that concludes old business. That moves us into the new business section. And under new business, we have a call for an election. And if I'm correct from our conversation, there is no procedural thing that we have to do to give people a lot of time to speak.
correct.
So it's handled this just like a standard resolution.
Right, under a standard resolution, so you'd open the floor to public comment, but it's not anything.
That we have the time for.
And I do believe that this resolution does require you to read it though typically, so it needs to be read in full as opposed to just the heading.
The whole document?
I think it does, I think you have to attest that it was read in full, don't you? And
I thought it was just a paragraph.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the whole paragraph, yeah,
Yes,
right, the resolution.
Yeah, not the whole resolution,
No, right,
it's
right,
like
right, yeah.
6 pages.
No, yeah.
All right, so guys, what we have is resolution 2025-025. And it's ordering and calling a special election to be held in Fire Protection District 3 of Parish of St. Tam in each state of Louisiana to authorize the levy of a special tax therein, making application to the State Board Commission and providing for other matters in connection thereof. And so what I'd like to do is, well, do I have to read it or can that be under the discussion section? I'll read it. and
Yeah, I
then
would
we'll
read it
discuss
and then you discuss.
Okay, so it's really says, shall the Fire Protection District 3 of the parish of St. Tammany, the district levy a special tax of 34.95 mils, also it's going to be referred to as the tax, on all property subject to taxation in said district, an estimated of $3,464,000 reasonably expected at this time to be collected from the levy of the tax for an entire year, for a period of 20 years, beginning with the year 2026 and ending with the year 2045, for acquiring, construction, improving, maintaining, and operating fire protection and emergency medical facilities, vehicles, and equipment, including both movable and immovable property, to be used by the district in providing fire protection and emergency medical service. Said tax to be in lieu of and completely replace the current 34.95 mils, comprised of a 9.94 mils tax authorized to be levied pursuant to the election held on April 29th, 2017, and 25.01 mils tax authorized to be levied pursuant to an election that was held April 24th of 2021, provided that the portion of the tax proceeds be required to be contributed to the statewide retirement system as provided in revised statutes 1182.
That's all you have to do.
And I want to be very, very clear that this is not a new millage. This is basically going to clear out the old millage and replace it with this combined, it's referred to the in lieu millage. So nothing changes. We continue with that same 34.95 mils. So I will need a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion, we accept.
Will you have a second?
Yes, sir.
We have a second, so I can open the floor up now to discussion and comment.
Oh, go ahead.
The question in my mind, we mentioned before, look, I'm new on board, so. The 9.94 mils tax, we mentioned earlier something that was strictly for EMF,
Correct.
No, maybe I misunderstood what you said, but 9.94 is the only portion that can be spent for EMS.
Okay,
So
so
this
as
was
this is
combined.
combined, how does that affect that?
The whole bucket, it can be used for EMS.
You
Okay,
take
okay.
out that 10 mil.
So that, okay, that was the question.
And to give you a better example, when we did the bond application to refurbish the ambulances, we have to have a record keeping resolution every year that says we are paying the bond note from roughly that 10 mils. This now makes all 35 mils available for all operations, not separating 10 for EMS and
Okay.
25 for in
And that's
general
one of the
purpose.
purposes of combining.
Yes, that's one purpose.
Thank you for clarifying.
The other purpose is the 20 years. Typically, these things run a 10-year on the mill cycles. We're going after a 20 year sunset is the term they use.
Correct.
A 20-year sunset on it. And so if we maintain at 34.95 mils, it seems to be the right millage for this community. It's really, it's bringing in the right amount of funds as property values go up and we get new property. But that doesn't allow us to start taking money out of that 34.95 mils and setting aside for capital projects. So in order for us to attain capital projects, we'll have to borrow money, all right? So we're going to now be able to borrow off of the 34.95 mils and extend the note out for 20 years. And if I remember right, it was about $150,000 a year per million? Sound right? At the current interest rate?
Yes, I mean, we took out a $500,000 note. We're paying about $20,000 total.
Yeah.
With interest and principals that will be paid off next year.
Right, right.
So the goal would be, and we had to limit it to 5 years because that was the balance of the millage available at that time. So the strategy at that time was to use that 500,000 and keep leapfrogging every 5 or 10 years to buy apparatus, to buy up, burning building. That's really the pleasure of the board to do that. But the 20-year sunset has been successfully approved by multiple districts in the parish where they went from 10 to 20.
Yeah.
Your closest being Mandeville, just down the road.
In Rec District 4.
Correct.
Rec District 1, right?
So it's not a new concept to extend the sunset
That's
to
right.
20 years.
It's not a new concept, but what it does do, it gives us an advantage of borrowing money, only paying it back over a 20-year cycle, which would make it affordable for us to be able to buy apparatus, to station improvements and various things. Any further discussion on it?
I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
What was the reasoning? Was it just timing that the mills were separate initially? But what was the point of that?
That goes back, probably 30 years, and I really can't answer that. It's just, that's the way it shook out. They did,
Well, the 10 was added specifically for the ALS transport.
Yeah.
So that was done roughly
that would
20
have
years
been
ago.
20
That was
plus
when
years
y'all
ago.
started ALS in 2017? When this bill,
It,
how long have y'all been doing ALS?
it started since the day SPFD3 took over responding to the district. It went from the volunteer fire department, which did a volunteer BLS truck. And is about 2 months after we transitioned to a
I
paid
mean, I'm
department.
just curious, when did that occur? What year was that, about early
Couldn't tell you.
2000s?
I couldn't tell you, I'm not sure. It's 25, 30 years ago, probably at least 30.
Couple years before Katrina.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
So to be clear, it was not separated for purposes of lessening the burden on the community in any way. Got it.
I think the 25 was the original millage for fire suppression and the 10 was added for the ALS transport. Understood. Okay.
it could be, I'm,
That's the story I was told
yeah,
years ago. But
it could be, it makes sense,
At some point, the district needed around a 10 mil bump. And instead of trying to up the 25 mils to 35 mils, the decisions are made and just say, hey, we just need 10 and we're going to separate them out. And
But for no fiscal
no,
purpose.
no, because it doesn't fiscally affect the citizen in any way, other than it allows you to, you could, in theory, manipulate one. You could, if you weren't at max for both, you could have a, lower 1 to 5 and 1 to 25 and then reverse it. And, yeah.
Got it.
so, yes, sir, you have a question? Any further discussion on that?
Just, maybe it'd be the improper time to even mention this, but it just thought occurred to me, with regard to the length of it being 20 years. Would that hamstring us in any way? And let's say some sort of need arise and we wanted to try to raise the millage in some sort
You
of.
can raise it, you can run it out the separate millage, just like they did.
Just like they did that.
in Mills, if you felt like you had to pursue more revenue.
I can tell you this, we had a district of, Benton Fire District 4 did a 2 mil levy sold to the public just for acquisition of capital of equipment.
Yeah,
So they went out and said 2 mills would bring in X, that would fund the 20-year term note at roughly about 120%. And they use that every year to basically have a strategy to leapfrog, making sure that they have equipment in NFPA standards for the service.
yeah, one of my thoughts, well, I mean, just off the top of it, let's say we needed to build, expansion, you come in a new neighborhood, we need to build another station.
Yeah.
Where we're gonna get the money.
You can, only thing you have to do is just meet the timing requirements set by the state
Okay.
and get the approval from parish council. And bond commission puts it on an election, and then off you go.
And one of the things we learned at the Fire Chiefs Academy, which was brilliant, I thought, was Lafayette did a dedicated sales tax of 1% to rebuild the airport. and they were able to do it. It was projected to be a 9-month tax. I think they were able to cease the tax at 6 months. And now the fire department Lafayette is going out for another 1% sales tax to basically buy $35 million, 35 or 25 million of completely replace their entire fleet.
Wow.
And do that, and they think they can raise that capital with that sales tax in under 1 year. And by voter approval, it drops off at the end of that year or when they meet their number, whichever comes sooner. So there's some creative ways to look at capital. So
Okay, I just,
when I heard that, I was like, that was a brilliant move by Lafayette to do that.
yeah. Ooh.
So we have a, motion on the floor. We do have it second. Is there any further discussion on this resolution?
Good.
I hear none, so let's vote. All in favor of accepting resolution 2025-025, say aye. Any opposed? I hear none, so it carries. Resolution 2025-25 passes. And did you get everything you needed? Because I think you needed a special count. Okay, got everything you needed. Okay.
That's not a roll call vote, is it? Is it just yay?
I don't know.
It's a yay, it's a yay or nay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
we're good.
Okay, next up is resolution 2025-023. And it's a resolution to adopt the 2024 LLA audit. These, I believe, were sent to you folks via email. If you have to take a look at, I'll just, we'll need a motion to accept.
And these are really housekeeping measures.
So do we have a motion to accept?
Yes.
We do. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And any discussion on them? Other than the fact, I'll tell you, there was no deficiencies.
Yeah, it seemed like it.
There was
It was
no
very
deficiencies.
clean.
So let's go ahead and
Good job,
vote.
guys.
All in favor of accepting, say aye. Any opposed? I hear none, so it passes, resolution passes. Next is very similar. It's a resolution 024 to adopt the 2024 LLA AUP audit. And so do we have a motion to accept?
Make a motion.
We have a second?
Second.
Under discussion, again, there was no deficiencies associated with that audit. So all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? I hear none, so resolution 024 passes. All right, so I'm gonna turn the floor over to Mr. Jacks. He wants to talk about department budget, badge and credentials.
Yeah, so when I got here and I was looking and making answering questions, I realized that we don't really issue secondary badges and credentials to our firefighters. And coming from my background, and I was issued such things. They look like this. So you have your credentials and you have your badge. And it's incredibly symbolic to anybody that gets these. It's a decision that one makes for a career. And it demonstrates the trust that the community that you serve places in you. So it's rather important to us. So I did some looking around and I just came up with this. If you'll bear with me for a moment, I'd like to read it to you. The firefighter badge is a symbol of honor and protection. The Maltese cross shape of the badge is a symbol of bravery, courage, loyalty, and selflessness. And it traces its past to the year 1530 when the Knights of St. John encountered fire being used for the first time as a weapon. The Knights of St. John had large red Maltese crosses on the uniforms, and they cared for their fellow countrymen when suffering from burns and illnesses, and thus they became the world's first firefighters. So it's a very long lineage that you guys all represent. The Maltese cross symbolizes their willingness to sacrifice their lives to save others. That's the badge. The credentials symbolize proof of expertise, qualifications, and competence. It's a tangible validation of knowledge, skills, and abilities. Credentials also provide for professional credibility and trust, signifying legitimacy. To be presented with a firefighter badge and credentials, you're being presented with physical confirmation that your community, department, and peers believe in you, they trust in you, and recognize you and your family's sacrifices for the career. In 2020, there were 350,000 full-time paid career firefighters in the United States. Now that represents 0.1% of the population. So you that choose to do it are incredibly rare, and you're special. Your badge and credentials should be considered as unique and rare and special as you are, as you have chosen the profession that 99.9% of your fellow Americans could not or would not do. So it's with that at your whims, if you choose to do it, I would hope that you might wish to look into issuing them for your firefighters. So there's that. There you go.
So what do you want to do? Do you want to just?
So what I would like is for, yeah,
Board?
yeah, if the chief would look into it. If he feels as I that it's important, if it is something that he wants to move forward with, I would hope that the board would support him in that decision and we can make it happen. That's what I would hope.
So what do you want to do, Michael? Are you looking for a resolution or a motion from us? What would you like to do?
I don't think that's necessary. I think it's something that we all support and will be on board and, of course, I think we'll work with Mr. Jackson and having these further discussions and making this happen. I don't absolutely don't object to it. I think it's a good idea, so.
I'll just go on record as I certainly support it. I think it's unique, it's meaningful. It's a good example. They stay with you even after you move on. So I certainly support it, Michael. That's it. I don't know that you need anything from the board permission wise. This is all you.
So is it policy now that all rank files have badges and
Yeah.
templates?
All full-time are issued badges, they're issued brass. Now that we're,
Is that
at the helm.
after they're confirmed, right?
They are formally issued after they're confirmed, yeah. And then that goes along with their Class A shirts, their tactical shirts, which they wear those with, so. We have been more open and flexible and, I think generous in issuing the blue Class A shirts and the tactical shirts, whereas it might have been a little bit different a year or so ago, but we're certainly on board 100%. Everybody deserves to have the proper uniforms to be able to represent us, make us look good and make them proud of the job that they do and be able to go out in public. And so whatever's necessary,
Yeah,
certainly.
It's my firm belief that whenever the department is out doing any official business, whether it's inspections, parades, or anything like that, they need to be in uniform with badges, nameplates. When they're at work, yeah, okay, tactical shirts, t-shirts, that sort of thing. But yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with everything with the badges and nameplates. It does mean a lot. I wore one for 32 years. It's a very personal thing when you get awarded that. You have that number and you have it. And it's official too. I mean, I'm gonna tell you guys, man. I was on the fire department with Katrina, man. If I didn't have my badge and my ID, I wasn't getting in and out of certain areas. It gets you when there's disasters and there's things happening, it gets you places. It's a key to going places, and majority of law enforcement will respect our badge, and we need to have it in order to respect it. So I agree.
I think it's good, but it means a lot.
So, so there will be, there's no action required of the board other than to say, chief, just keep us posted as to where this goes. Good, thank you.
Sure. I'd love to have a copy of that. My middle son's a firefighter.
Well, this is not.
No, that's what's your
Oh, that-
badge, yes.
Oh, for sure, of course.
I think that needs to be presented every time you present the badge.
Yes.
Great idea.
Yes.
It is.
Means something. Yes.
It's everything.
Yeah.
The Maltese Cross, our badges are fashioned after the Maltese Cross. A majority of them are, and I think that's the way badges should be made. Now, some departments have these badges that look like police badges. I'm not all about that. I don't want to look like a policeman. Right. You know.
No, but your written was very, very good.
All right, thank you, folks. So Chief, keep us informed on where this goes in the future. Next on the agenda is a nomination for Civil Service Board. Mr. Bendewall was appointed by the board to complete Mr. Rick's term, which I believe you was completing somebody else's term.
Mr. Dalton.
Yeah, and so your term would have been up.
Okay.
Yeah, so with that, Mr. Bendewall's term is up. It expires July 31st. And I've spoken with Mr. Bendewall. He would like to continue on the Civil Service Board member. So we would need a nomination to accept Mr. Bendewall as a civil service representative for
I'll
five
make
years.
the nomination.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have any discussion or any other nominations for that position? I hear none, so then let's vote. All in favor of Mr. Bendewall, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none, so congratulations, Mr. Bendewall, and I'm sure he's offshore somewhere doing something important.
I'll make that a record-keeping motion just because it is a true appointment to
Yeah.
the Civil Service Board.
Okay,
And if you could put a message to the CSB that there, I believe there should be paperwork, I think it's like 5 copies.
Okay.
yeah, we've
You gotta
got,
take the oath and 5 copies of
Yeah.
it. and all that stuff, yeah.
It's more than just a reappointment.
okay, so last on the agenda is new department unit. And, what we're talking about there is a pickup truck. And I know that the chiefs, it's reasonable and customary for the chiefs to have a take-home unit. It's my understanding the take-home unit really is to, if there's an event that requires you to get back to the district, it, kind of lets you run code 3 back here and take care of the community. I know that Chief May has been using one of the utility vehicles that was assigned to one of our other stations. I don't know what kind of shape it is. I have no clue. I know Chief Geisler has found an opportunity to purchase a vehicle from another department in the parish. I didn't say it. I didn't know if we were supposed to say it. I know the email that I seen, it didn't look like they wanted it widely broadcasted.
I just mentioned that it was an offer that he extended just to us, and it was basically at Kelly Blue Book value.
So Michael, I'm gonna just go ahead and turn it over to you. You can talk about it.
Yeah, so it says new, it's not new, but it was new to us. We have, each station's assigned a utility vehicle, a unit that typically does housekeeping things, responding to some medical calls where we wouldn't have to necessarily take a big piece of apparatus. And since we've moved one of those trucks in Chief May's spot, we've taken one of those utility vehicles off the street. But also of importance, one of those vehicles is probably going to be coming to its end of life, into service in the near future. That's a 20-year-old vehicle, 2005 Dodge pickup truck. It's not yet ready to go out of service, but at some point that would come out of play. So we had the opportunity for a 2020 F-150 District 9, only 41,000 miles on it. It has no damage, no mechanical issues. They're just not using it. Mark drove it yesterday, grading tires, interiors cleaning. Lights and sirens are included, which that value in itself would be a couple of thousand, $3,000 for lights and sirens. And so they're asking 25 even, for that unit. Let's see. Yeah, again, lights and sirens will be included in it. The Kelly Blue Book was 24,000 some change, so, he's asking 25 to.
One thing we would have to do is peel the stickers off. and
Peel a couple little stickers off, do our registration stuff. We would have to put some of our stickers on it. That's probably $600 or something like that, through the Grass Company. So we would have to do that to make it ours.
And you drove.
That's right.
Oops.
Dropping the camera.
Drive like a camel. That's.
And that unit Markson right now is about 127,000, I think, 124, somewhere around there, 120 something thousand dollars in there too, so. That one would be nice.
The one that he's driving
Yeah,
now,
so that would be nice. 24, 27, one of the two,
okay.
somewhere around there.
And so that one could bump back into service.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah, we rely on those trucks to do, whatever and everything that goes on around here, hauling hose, equipment, responding to some of those, medical calls where a big truck's not necessary.
Lifting assists. and
Yeah,
those stuff.
training, they go to training outside the district, any other errands we need to run. So I think it's essential. It's important. I don't know what that was.
Wasn't me.
Sound like a truck on.
A new noise.
All right.
That might be my wife telling me something home. Well, yeah, anyways, that's really all I have on that. It's an opportunity. District 9, again, does not use the truck. It sits in the station. And so they're looking to get rid of it.
All right, so we'll need a nomination from the board to purchase the vehicle for the 2020 F-150 for the price of $25,000 plus license and transfer cost. So do we have a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And we have a second, so any discussion on the matter?
It's a great deal.
Since that's not a part of your approved operating budget, I would do it as a capital outlay expense
Okay.
from your restricted funds.
And if memory serves me right, if we do a capital outlay on it, we could actually build that into a bond for next year. So if we float a bond, we can include it in that and pay it back.
Yes, it's my
Okay.
understanding.
Okay,
But I think capital outlay would be the perfect, because it is an acquisition cost, not a typical operating expense.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion on this? So let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none, so the motion carries. And
Just send me the make, model, and VIN and the mileage, then I'll put that in the record keeping resolution.
okay,
And I'm sure District 9 would surplus it. I'll make sure that they do a proper surplus.
yeah, we'll have,
Next week is their board meeting. He's gonna surplus it next Wednesday and then it'll be ours.
do you do District 9?
I do.
Oh,
Sweet.
okay. All right, so that concludes what's on the agenda. I'll need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Any opposed?
You may have to change the mileage.
Any vote? We got a motion, do we have a second? We have a second. All right, all in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let's go home. Thank you, folks.
When it first started, you were like, "All right."